On March 18th, 2023, I boarded a flight from O'Hare to a place that I, for several years now, have been wanting to go, but because of a certain something, I have not been able to go. On March 18th, 2023, I left for Japan. However, before my flight to Japan, the longest that I was ever on a plane before my flight to Japan was 8 hours. And that was when I went to Germany back a year before this trip in Japan. However, the flight to Japan was really going to test my patience, because this flight in particular was going to be 20 hours long. The flight itself actually was not too bad. I left Chicago right around midnight Central Time, and managed to get a whole 4 hours of sleep before we were flying over Alaska, and that felt like a free roller coaster and a half right there with non-stop turbulence. After that was all done and settled, it was actually a smooth ride from then on down to Taipei. After a few more hours of being in Taiwan, I finally boarded a flight to KIX, and so began my journey in Japan. The sights that I saw from Taipei going to Kansai International Airport, some of the best sights I think I've ever seen in my life, and it'll be hard to top that. Finally, at around 1 p.m. Japan time, finally landed in Kansai International Airport. That's when it finally hit me. I just flew to Japan, and I'm in Japan. I also do plan on making another video, sort of similar to this one, detailing more of my adventures elsewhere, not just Japan. This video is more so being a deeper dive into my Japan trip, since I've been wanting to go to Japan for several years. That's been documented on this channel in the past. And unfortunately, because of you-know-what, I couldn't do that until 2023. And I also want to try and see if I could turn something as simple as this kind of video, where I just sit and talk about the trip, into something more creative and make it kind of unique, I guess. And with that little tidbit out of the way, let's actually get into my trip itself. The honeymoon phase of the trip didn't really last that long, unfortunately. As soon as I got off the plane, I had to deal with customs, and it's not as fun as everybody else makes it sound. Trust me. I did manage to get through it sort of fine, but it did take me quite a while, and quite a long time in fact. Mostly because of the language barrier, but you know, I've been studying Japanese on Duolingo for several years. You would think I would know by now how to get through customs, right? Now, after all was said and done, I finally was able to get through customs and was free to get on a train to my first destination. Now, my first destination may not have been the top of the list on where people would stay at, and I'll give you a couple extra seconds here while I ramble to figure out where I was staying at. Oh, did you guess Niagawa? Because that was where I first stayed at. So, my first taste of Japan, I had to actually get on a train and actually get to my first destination. And let me actually tell you this right now. If you are going to go to Japan, I do recommend either using Google Maps or Apple Maps, whatever you can get really, because I had to use both during my time in Japan, especially for the trains, and that is really, really good at giving you detailed information on your trains, the scheduling, the platforms to stand on, and where to exactly stand on the platform to have an easier way of getting in and out of the trains when you get to the destination, obviously. It's really great, and it's awesome. And I still managed to somehow mess it up and get on a luxury train ride. One of the earliest things that got me puzzled in Japan was the whole difference between Suica and the Ikoka cards for trains. Now, if you don't know what either of them are, they're the same thing, but one's more in Tokyo focused at least, and the other one is focused in Osaka, and that's the Ikoka card. I've always seen something about Suica cards, so I was thinking I need to go find myself a Suica card in Osaka. Kind of not something I was clearly researched in, so that really didn't work out for me, and I was kind of standing around not knowing what I was doing for about 20 minutes or so. Finally got myself an Ikoka card and went down my way to a train to the Niagawa Airbnb. Why Niagawa? I'll go through Niagawa itself here in a moment for those that have never been there, but personally, I only chose the area firstly because of how cheap the Airbnb was, and the Airbnb itself was pretty nice. I'll show some videos of the actual place itself. I guess here's will be a little tour that I got right now. At least for the first place I'm staying. There's the entrance. Of course that. Little closet. Right in front of all this. Not too bad. They got a lot of good stuff up here. In one piece. Pretty big bookshelf. This is the one I fuck with the most. I need to read one of those. Nice little kitchen. I don't really use it. Fridge. Don't really use it. This is an incline for the bathroom. Oh, I forgot this pulls out. Here it is. Not too bad. Not too bad. It's cold as fuck in here though. Now, it's the main abode. Ignore the mess, because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the trash. Because that's one thing I don't know how to do. So, unfortunately, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. That table's very movable. That TV somewhat works. The view outside, well, it's not much of a view because the glass is kind of I don't know how to open the window either. I don't know if it can open. Oh well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, there's a closet right there filled with like nothing. Just leave my stuff out here. Not the craziest place. It's not like a place that is terrible or off the radar completely. But hey, it was just a place that I wanted to stay at first, and so be it. So to get in more detail as to what my route was, because I did end up remembering this, I ended up taking the Nankai Limited Express line to the Namba station, where I then got off and went to the Midosuji line to Yodoyabashi station over at the Kaihan Main line to Kayashima station, and then after a little bit of a walk from there, that's where my first Airbnb was. It was not my intention to get on the Limited Express line because that one you do have to pay extra for because it's slightly more luxurious. I didn't really know about that until like I got on the train and I realized that I didn't have a special ticket for it. And so I had to give cash to a train worker who was thankfully there to pick up the tickets or stamp the tickets for it. So that was kind of nice of them. You wouldn't see that in New York City or in anywhere in the United States. You wouldn't even see public transportation here in the United States, so there's that. During my little expedition in between the Namba station going over to the Midosuji line, I did end up getting lost in the whole situation there. I had actually talked to a station worker there to tell me where the platform was for the next train that I needed. Turns out I was already standing on that platform and I just wasn't paying attention. So there's that. I don't have the biggest of brains, you could probably tell that. Another fun thing that happened during my first couple hours in Japan was the lack of a phone charger. Well, at least half of a phone charger. I was under the impression that you couldn't take an American box over to Japan, obviously, because you can't do that in Germany, not when I went, so I had to go and buy a new phone charger for Germany, and that worked out well, slightly. So I thought I had to do the same for Japan. However, I still had to buy one, and buying one was a bit of a process, to say the least. Now, thankfully, when I was at my first Airbnb in Niigata, finally stationed and finally just settled in to the Airbnb in Japan, I realized I needed to firstly get a phone charger because my phone was pretty close to croaking. Now, I was able to look up online where could I find an electronics store. And around my Airbnb in Niigata is an Aeon Mall about 35 minutes away in terms of walking. Probably could have found somewhere a little bit closer. It probably would have been better. But the main reason I went to this mall was simply because I haven't been to a mall in several years before going to Japan. And I was like, screw it, let's do it. I haven't been to one in forever. I want to see what one is like in Japan, especially, and just kind of adventure around somewhere for a little bit. And because of that, not only was I able to find a phone charger and everything was good on that situation, but then I also ended up finding a place that I would spend a lot of time at when I was in Niigata. And speaking of Niigata, this place in general, really nice. It was a really beautiful town. Nice. It wasn't like a big city by any means. It was like really full of like houses and, you know, residential places. But the place itself, like the Airbnb itself, was incredibly amazing. It was cozy, wasn't necessarily big by any means of the stretch, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to fit my needs, and my needs are not that high of standards. And because of that, I was able to make this Airbnb work well. And it was really nice. And as well as the surrounding areas were pretty much even better. There was some really nice, and I mean super nice areas in walking distance, in train ride distances. I'll get to more of that here later, obviously. It was a really good place to stay. I do recommend this place if you're looking to just kind of be kind of in a smaller town kind of deal and not in downtown Osaka if you are visiting Osaka in general. Now, my first few days while being in Niigata weren't necessarily spent going from station to station or city to city, rather, or not even popular site after popular site. Rather, I just stayed close, connected with the town itself. I really didn't try to venture out so far out. I just didn't want to go super far yet. I just wanted to genuinely see what Niigata looked like. It was a town I had no research on before going, other than the Airbnb, and making sure that it was a safe town and not, you know, Detroit. So I spent the first few days just walking around the town and visiting the mall and even some shops around the mall and closer to the Airbnb and stuff like that. I was trying to just be one with the crowd itself. I wasn't trying to go all over the place, especially as a foreigner. And because of that, I also didn't take as many videos. I took a good amount of photos, but not a lot of videos, and that is kind of one of my bigger regrets of the trip. But I'll get into more of the negative stuff here sooner rather than later, hopefully. Quick story about something that did happen while I was in the mall. One of the biggest stories of the trip for me, at least, around Niagawa at least. So at this point in time, I've been going to the Aeon Mall that I just talked about. I've been going there quite often, pretty much every other day, if not every day, just to walk around, grab something to eat, and grab maybe something from the local stores. You know, there's a lot of good stores. The mall itself was really nice. They had several floors worth of stuff to look around in. At the bottom floor, which had a lot of bigger, more fancier stores, I guess. Then you go a floor above, and then you got some like smaller stores, but still cooler looking stores too, might I add. Then they also had some restaurants and some arcades on basically the next two floors. And at the very top, there was a big, I would say, movie theater. I didn't go watch a movie. Mainly because nothing was out that I was interested in at the time, unfortunately. Still nice either way to see a lot of good stuff in the movie theater, and if I wanted to go, it was there for the taking, essentially. I was going there pretty much every other day, like I said, to pay, like maybe eat lunch or grab a snack, right? Because of that, there was one restaurant that I ended up going to quite a bit, and so much so that one of the workers took his break and sat next to me, and we started talking about basically why I was in Japan, and let alone in Niagawa. Because, you know, kind of weird seeing somebody that you don't normally see in Niagawa, of all places, according to them, but that's how that was. And me and him had a really good conversation and a really good talk. It lasted, obviously, about a half hour, about an hour, I would say, even. It was a really good talk between me and him. A little awkward because I wasn't expecting anybody really to talk to me, because by this point I was probably a week in, maybe a week and a half into my trip, and I was truly not expecting anybody to just stop and talk to me, let alone a worker from one of the restaurants that I was going to basically every other day. If he is somehow finding this video, fucking made my day, made my whole trip, and I hope they're still doing well. Like, that is something that not a lot of people can talk about, and it is a genuine amazing story that I can tell. With all that being said, though, time was ticking, and sooner rather than later, not only was my time in Japan going to be up, but I would also leave Japan not sightseeing like I wanted to. So you know what I had to do? I had to go do some sightseeing. Did you know that Japan's nature is beautiful? Well, I certainly did before I actually went, but actually being in Japan and seeing nature for what it was there, which is beautiful as hell, it is mind-bogglingly crazy. My first sightseeing adventure took me to a place in Kyoto called Fushimi Inari. And when I say I have never walked up a mountain before, I really do mean it. It's kind of not hard to see it, right? When I arrived at the place, I managed to walk up that mountain like it was nothing. I was able to do it quite easily, in fact. And doing so, I was able to be rewarded with some of the best sights I think I've seen in quite a while. The photos that you see are some of the photos that I took while I was on top of Fushimi Inari and the mountaintop, or on the side of it. It was so beautiful, in fact, that I decided to come back at night. And it truly is amazing how beautiful those kinds of pictures look ones with the city lights in just full view as darkness is completely set in. Those kinds of photos look really fucking nice to me. It was such a surreal moment because I've never had a chance to really be somewhere where I could see nothing but city lights. Because where I live, I don't live in a very big town. Or even more so, it's kind of smaller than a village, kind of. So I don't really have a whole lot of opportunity to see those big sights, those big city lights even. When I go up to Fushimi Inari, and that stuff kind of happens. It is truly something that is hard to describe in just words. You have to see it to literally believe it. There is something that I will say though about anybody who has or wants to climb Fushimi Inari at night. Be careful because it's dark and there's no lights and you're just climbing up a straight up mountain with very little lighting. So hope you do bring a slight flashlight, or a small powered flashlight I should say, because otherwise you're just going to be stepping in complete darkness. It was a bit terrifying, not gonna lie, especially with how quiet it can get climbing up there.
Ah, sì? Ah, sì? L'unica cosa è che dopo... Ah no, si torna qua, stavo dicendo se scendiamo poi torniamo qua. Che questo giro, poi se tu lo continui, ti riporta qua, non è che ti devia, quindi riusciamo...
Stick it in here. Thank you. Welcome. Yep. For me. Yeah.
Now, if I could just be real quick, a big-time foamer for the trains in Japan. As somebody that has, like I said, lived in America for all of their life, essentially, being able to actually ride a train is insane and awesome and beautiful, because everything about riding the train in Japan was just actually something that probably made the whole experience just so much better. Because I like looking outside. I like looking at the views. I like looking at anything that's passing by. And some of the stuff that I witnessed or saw were just amazing in Japan. Before I went to Japan, I was thinking, why not try to keep track of all the vending machines that I would see during my time? And I gave up barely an hour into my time in Japan because I was seeing way too many of them on my train ride, just my train ride from the airport to my first day. And I was like, there's just too much. I don't know. I've already lost count. I'm already like several hundred deep. I don't know where I'm at exactly. Now, there were some other places in Kyoto that I went to because during this time it was cherry blossom season. So I decided to take a look at a spot that a lot of people enjoyed going to, especially for cherry blossom season, and that is Maruyama Park. Maruyama Park is definitely one of my favorite spots on the trip entirely. It really felt so cozy and super relaxing. While there was a bit of a crowd there surrounding the tree, especially at night, once you get back several rows deep and you actually kind of take a step back a little bit farther away from the tree, it actually is more of a super relaxing environment. Smaller trees that were covered in cherry blossoms not too far away from the big tree that everybody likes to see, as well as a nice little pond with a bridge. And simply put, at night, this place is simply just amazing. It's worth a visit, especially during the March and April months of the year where the cherry blossoms are in full effect. Now, I know a lot of people may not be a big fan of the crowds, but trust me, it is worth it. It is definitely worth it once you get not only the sight of the tree itself, but if you're able to go back to the little pond and the bridge and stuff like that and kind of take a look around the area. It is really worth it. It is nice and relaxing. Kyoto as a whole, I would say, was one of my absolute favorite places to visit. The shrines that I went to, all of them had something unique about them. The food, incredibly crazy food, by the way. Love the food. Really good. It was amazing. I haven't really talked much about food in this video. But the food that I did eat in Japan was amazing. A lot of good variety. A lot of good mix of what I eat at home, and a lot of new stuff as well to add into my arsenal of flavors.
Sorry. No stretching. There it is. Mais non.
Ouais, je crois que c'est une planète.
C'est la plus grosse, non? La plus près? Non. C'est plus grosse parce que c'est la plus forte. Et on va voir Jupiter.
Now, as time moved on, the fear of being alone began to fade. I settled into more of a relaxed environment for myself and told myself that every day does not need to be an experience. Now, that feeling couldn't have been more true after all of those nights and days of walking the city of Kyoto and the two places I just mentioned. My legs were sore. I was walking up mountains, I was walking through cities, I was walking up and down places, flights of stairs, especially at train stations. While I don't enjoy spending time inside all the time, I did have to spend basically 1 or 2 days every single week inside doing very little because I had to recover. And it sucked because I really wanted to explore a lot more than I did. At the same time, my body didn't want me to do that. Now, my time in Niyagawa was coming up. I spent about 2.5 weeks there, and I was ready to move to my second destination. So I finally packed up from my first Airbnb and I head towards my second location in Nishinari? Now, for starters, yes, I know it was a questionable decision to visit one of the most run-down / not good-looking places of Osaka. Definitely up there as one of the slummiest areas of Osaka. It wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. My paranoid ass was thinking that this was going to be Detroit and have a bunch of druggies and people coming up and mugging me left, right, and center. But it wasn't that bad, more or less. It just wasn't the prettiest place to be at, not gonna lie. But if I have to be a little optimistic here, I went to Dotonbori though, and it was right next to it. Now, real quickly, before I start glazing Osaka and start listing off more of the places that I went to, because I went to a lot more places when I got to this part of the trip, here's a quick screenshot of what the Nishinari Airbnb looked like. Yeah, I know my standards are pretty low, but man, this felt more like a closet than it did anything else. my computer. Now, with all that being said, though, my second stop was actually 2 stops away from Dotonbori in terms of a train ride. And because of that, Dotonbori ended up becoming the second coming of the Aeon Mall from Niyagawa, where I would basically walk that place basically every other day. And it did lead me to discover something that I didn't really know about until I got there, and that was the Namba Walk. The Namba Walk, for those that don't know, is a place that's 715 meters worth of shops and exits and places to just see, just in general. It is probably some of the best, that's the best walk you can have in a day's worth, by the way. I definitely recommend it. It is amazing. Try not to walk all of it, though, because it is a long walk. However, in that area, I found my ultimate place. One of my favorite places that I went to that I'm going to talk here, one of my favorite places that I went to that I'll get to more here in just a moment was round 1. There was a round 1 on the side just waiting for me during the first walk on the Namba Walk. Before I went there, though, I just had to visit Dotonbori. I just had to visit this place. God damn, is it so fucking crowded, especially at night. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'm ever going to find another place in my lifetime that is just as crowded as Dotonbori at night. I made a video of me walking through Dotonbori, and a lot of it is me trying to dodge people because, simply put, it is crowded at night. But I went to it during the day as well, and it's not as crowded during the day, and because of that, you get to experience Dotonbori so much better during the day, in my opinion at least, because of the crowds just not being there. A lot of the shops are really good and nicely tidied up and stuff like that. The restaurants are amazing, by the way. And simply put, it's much better during the day because you're not dealing with crowds. But if you don't really care about the crowds, or you can, weave through them and not, have a full-blown meltdown of some sorts, I recommend Dotonbori at night. I cannot sit here and basically tell you to never visit Dotonbori, even if you like crowds or not. To me, I enjoyed it both during the day and at night. I really enjoyed it. It was super amazing. And especially at night, it just felt so insane in a weird way. I don't know how to describe it. Also, quick side note. Do you know how fucking weird it is to actually have a McFlurry machine work every time you want a McFlurry? I'm going to mention this here, even though we're many minutes into this video. But I really didn't do a whole lot of research during my time in Japan. I tried to research a lot of areas before going, especially in Japan. And especially with me being more of a Japanaholic, obviously, for the last 5-6 years, I have looked at places in Japan, especially in Osaka and the whole Kansai area in general. But when I actually took the trip, I told myself I'm going to plop myself down somewhere and I'm just going to find anything at random. I don't want to plan this trip out. I don't even want to nail anything down for the day. I just want to get up and be like, where do I want to go? Do I want to go east, west, north, or south? And most times than not, I would find something that would always intrigue me. It would just remind me so much about how amazing it is to just have a sense of discovery out there. With that being said, finding that round 1 was a golden ticket for me. Because when I tell you that I did nothing but bowling and karaoke, oh my god, I did it for what felt like ever during that trip. Because I've never been bowling in the States, at least in the last 10 years. It's expensive as hell here, and all of the bowling lanes have closed down. Even if I wanted to go, they're all closed. I especially bowled a lot in Japan because of how cheap it was, at least compared to here. 4 games, $40. For 4 games of bowling. Not even 40 bucks. That was awesome. Karaoke was kind of the same way too. But I also enjoyed karaoke because it had a great mix of Japanese and English songs. I was able to scream out Iron Maiden as loud as I wanted to, and nobody would stop me. I really didn't do much of the arcade and the pachinko stuff there, because it was just not 100% my thing at all, so that was that. Also, there were way too many fucking couples there, but that's a different, that's a different phase in the video. Now, staying in Dotonbori for just 1 second, there was also a lot of great restaurants just in Dotonbori, like I said, right? There's a really good, slightly pricey, but a really good yakiniku place that I went to a little bit more than some of the other places that I went to in terms of the restaurants. I was able to not undercook my meat. That's a plus. Let's jump to a date in particular. April 10th, 2023. This date in particular was a day that I decided that I was going to go and visit a place that I've been talking about for a while, being a place that I want to see more of. And a place that I saw when researching a lot about visiting Osaka. I went to Kobe.
Why am I not fucking surprised?
Yeah, Google Earth is not a good idea to use as B-roll footage for this because a lot of places aren't available to see in high quality. But yeah, Kobe, let's go.
You know what's funny? They actually have it rendered in that the fucking port tower is actually being redesigned and remodeled. Nothing's changed. Nothing really has changed, has it?
I've always had a soft spot for Kobe in my heart. Mostly for the Kobe beef, but I was really glad that I was able to go to Kobe. All while my little sister was dealing with her cat that decided to chuck a mouse at her for no apparent reason.
Get this shit out of your mouth, please. No. You just dropped it on my foot and it ran after that thing.
The train ride to Kobe was just absolutely beautiful. Now I went in the early afternoon hours. The weather, beautiful. Just sunny, no rain in the forecast, barely any clouds in the sky even. It was nice, the temperature was great, and all around lots of sun, lots of beautiful flowers, lots of beautiful sights in general. Now before I got to the port of Kobe, I actually had to walk towards it from the station, which was quite a bit of a walk. However, during that little walk, I did find a little Chinatown street that I went up and down, which was selling a lot of good stuff and a lot of good restaurants down there as well. Basically, gotta say, it was a pretty neat place. And once I made it to the port, the views and the sounds, simply incredible. The thing that is famous in Kobe, that was still under renovation, so had a little bit of a drink at the Starbucks, had a nice little cookie there as well. It was a nice little place. Starbucks was incredible. A little pricey, but it always is. And like I said, because of where it was at, and I got a view of the ocean, it was just too fucking good to be true. Simply viewing the ocean up close and hearing the waves crash during that spring day made the whole experience worth it. I would say that this is probably my favorite part of the trip. Just the vibes that I got while being there absolutely made me feel so relaxed and overall amazing. Sure, it was a bit windy, but it wasn't that bad either. The whole day itself was just amazing from start to finish. And yet it was still the afternoon, so I still had a lot more time to venture around the area before I went back. And I found this really amazing park not too far away from it. And it had some amazing sights, some beautiful flowers, and simply put, some of my best photos I'll ever take. I don't know if I'll ever top it. When I say Kobe is a must visit, especially in the spring, it is like up there as like one of the must visits. Like, it was certainly one of the best trips that I ever took during my time in Japan. The food was amazing, the sights that I saw were incredible, and just everything about it just felt so good. And also a really underrated experience during my time, not only in Japan, but in Kobe especially, were the many game stores and the many shops that I found. I found a ton of amazing gaming stores and a lot of shops that were selling like secondhand good stuff like gear, games, and anything else really, but never more so than in Kobe. There was a lot of animate stores. There was a lot of underrated gems and secondhand good stores at some of the stations that I was in in Japan, but never more so than in Kobe. I probably spent about like 2 hours just walking around the station and going in and out of different stores and anime shops and stuff like that. I actually ended up buying a hefty amount of like PS2 games and some stickers, just stickers in general. Like some of these games that I got right here, they came from some of the secondhand goods stores that I visited while in Japan. No, I don't think any of these came from the one in Kobe that I was in, but still, some of this stuff that I found here was just insane. Fucking Gran Turismo 4 for only 1,600 yen, barely less than 1,700 yen. I bought Madden 07, although it's not in Japanese, it's literally just in English, but the cover and stuff like that is all in, you know, Japanese, which is cool. Only 110 yen for that. This WWF game here was only like 500 yen. So, like, this one I do remember buying in Kobe. This one I do remember it coming from Kobe. Yeah, this one right here, Rhapsodia. I've never actually played these games before, but I decided fuck it, right? Rhapsody, duh. And this was only 480 yen, so, like, I don't even have a PlayStation 2 for these to work on. I just bought them because they looked cool, damn it. Oh, shit. My bad, bro. Also, these two games as well that I bought, but these came in a different... Actually, no, this might have been from Kobe, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe both... No. These are from a different place that I went to. But yeah, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, the Japanese port, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the Japanese port. Both of them for only 280 yen, so not even 300 yen. That's all that was worth. Again, don't have a PS2 for them, but fuck it, right? Next place that I went to 2 days after visiting Kobe, I easily took the most amount of photos and videos of, for good reason, and that is the Osaka Aquarium Kaiyuken. It's been a while since I could say I've been to an aquarium beforehand, but this one was actually super nice, and the stuff that I got to see was simply amazing. The way that it was also set up too was really nice. You get to go up a couple stories from the ground floor, and then you slowly journey yourself down below. And once you get to the end, after seeing everything from dolphins to minnows to whales and more, you end up back to the ground floor where you're greeted with some penguins. Honestly, I just really enjoyed it. Super nice. Plus, again, the food, super good. What I really enjoyed about this place was the little narration piece that they offered to people that could actually be listened to on a Nintendo DS. I didn't have one on me at the time, obviously, but the thought of it was pretty neat. The place itself was worth the price, especially because it was right next to one of the biggest Ferris wheels in all of Japan. Literally. Because of that, I legitimately had to go on it. How could I say no? It was also right next to a Wendy's. I've never been to a Wendy's in Japan. I didn't even know they existed in Japan. And I went to one, and it was amazing. The Ferris wheel's huge. Also, it was windy.
Remember when it was right by the kayak and it scared the crap out of you?
Oh,
Come on, you can do it.
no. It is.
It's a cookie. Must be the entire family because there's only 2 nuts. It looks like it just 4 pieces or hands. It looks like a hangy.
These are the ones that Matt has. Now, these are the ones that have the back. And this one. These little ones. He has this one. And look at these little ones. Oh, one of these legs. Yeah, one of these legs. Wow, oh, look at that big lizard. What the world?
킹이 귀엽잖아.
Penguin! Penguin! I'm gonna find this one here. Ice! Ice! Wheel! Ice cream! Hey, look! Under here! Even there's a big one under here. Even, look! Mom, let's go. Mom, what's after this? That's so cute. Alarm's so cute. Yeah. Why is it doing that? Yeah, because it's... Oh.
Ja, more playful.
Huge. No, this one is not huge. Inside that one is huge. That one is huge. Yeah. You have not seen the stingray. Yeah, I know. Big one is stingray. Oh, huge. Oh, look at that.
The stingray is smiling at me.
I think this one must be very old. You see the bottom there, they are sleeping.
Yeah, sit down. Then you can see
See
better.
the bottom there, they are sleeping.
Em đúng chờ gọi.
Có chị đó.
이거는 잘해요. 다 막아놨어요. 그러면 다 분리해놨어, 칸칸만. 위에는 좋은데.
Right there's the aquarium. Right there's the ocean. Right there's a mountain. More ocean. There's the city. It's fucking windy up here too! I don't like this! Horrible ass wind aside, this view fucking slaps, boy. Whoa! Yeah, damn! I picked a bad night to come on here. Oh, I picked a bad night to come on here. Can't you tell? I think it's better if I get a video instead of a fucking try to take so many photos. That area is fucked. God damn! Let's see, Osaka Dome. I don't know what mountain that is in the background. It's super cloudy, so I can't see anything over there. It's not super duper cloudy, but cloudy enough. Look it down. Don't look down, they said.
So after those two adventures, I took some more time and went back to Dotonbori and the Nambo Walk. Honestly speaking, I could go there a few times a week and I still would not be able to see everything that I wanted to see or wanted to do. I enjoyed the food that was also really exclusive to Japan, such as the melon pan and a bacon potato pie from McDonald's, plus a bunch of other foods, and yet I still felt like I didn't need everything there. My next big adventure would be the Umeda Sky Building, which wasn't super far from where I was staying at actually. I guess I should mention that I don't have a massive fear of heights, because this building made it to where you could legit see pretty much everything in Osaka. However, I wanted to go to the Sky Building at night, because like I said earlier, I am a huge nighttime skyline enjoyer, and I love seeing the city lit up at night. And I figured this was the prime place for me to be at during this time of day. And it was beautiful sights all around. I even managed to go outside while up at the very top, and yes, it was also very windy, but it really wasn't as bad as the Ferris wheel, to be honest. The inside of the building was really nice. Possibly one of my favorite spots to sit was a place that was sitting faced outwards towards the city, and I honestly couldn't even believe the sights. It was a fun place all in all to visit. Now after another 2 days of not doing much of anything new, but just bowling at the round 1 or walking around Dontonbori, I decided to go do 2 fun things around the same area. I went to a cat cafe and then I went to Namba Parks. The cat cafe itself was very cozy. The cats weren't the most accepting to strangers, however the vibe was still amazing. I didn't stay too long, but just enough time to see what they were up to, mostly sleeping under the lights. Namba Parks is a place I wasn't expecting to see, and not only that, but also be as amazing as it was, especially during the peak spring season when the flowers were in full bloom. Lots of good shops and food places around Namba Parks. Probably had my biggest meal there. I definitely ordered a bit too much, but hey, I still ate it, so it was very worth it. And after looking the place up, they do really have a lot of fun events and seasonal decorations during the year. So if you do want to check out Namba Parks, springtime is not the only time to go. Look down. Oh. Oh. Pretty. That day didn't end with those 2 things, however. With how close Namba Parks was to where my stay was at, I actually walked back to my stay, which was worth it because of the location that the place was at. It was around Dontonbori, and exploring the area for a little bit, found a lot of tech shops and gaming things like I mentioned earlier. That's when I actually ended up seeing a Virtual Boy for the first time in my life. I walked past a lot of comic book stores, such as like Animate, and even went into a soft map store that was a bit of a walk away, but it was still a very nice and enjoyable store. There was also an internet cafe place just next to the soft map store, which had a ton of amazing PCs and accessories for them. Overall, a very similar story here and in Kobe. where I bought a few books from the gamer store and also just down the road from everything else. Even got jump scared by a few series and got PTSD from one in particular. Now, I do have actually some of the books that I did manage to snag, obviously, and I'll show them off here. Got the second version of the Nagatoro series in Japanese, obviously. Then I did get I did snag the 13th volume of Eurocamp, which was really nice. Again, all in Japanese, obviously. So very awesome. Like, really, this is amazing. Now looking back at this, I got the 5th volume of the Demon Girl Next Door. Again, all in Japanese. Like, I could have probably bought the series up till then, but I was like, yeah, screw it. I'll just buy one, and I could use that. There's also a ginormous Eurocamp book that I bought, which has everything more in detailed about the characters and all that stuff. I'm trying not to fuck this up. Oh, yep, I did fuck it up. So yeah, like this kind of a book right here. I did end up buying one of these because obviously this series in particular is up there as my number 1 in terms of the anime series that I've watched in the past. But yeah, this, like, I don't know a damn thing for Japanese in terms of the language. I still bought this and I still bought this because fuck it, you know, why not? I'm in Japan, damn it, let me enjoy myself. There's also some other stuff too that I bought that I'm not able to show because I am on a time constraint. I'm about to lose all storage on my phone. Sorry. Continuing on with my trip back from the stores and from Namba Parks that day in particular, I even saw a maid cafe too. I didn't go into it because I already ate a week's worth of food earlier. Basically, if you really want a specific place near Dontonbori where you could nerd out and see a lot of fun and of course nerdy things, look up Ota Road. I'll show a picture of it. There's a lot of nerdy places near Dontonbori, obviously, but Ota Road is definitely where I had a lot of those memories, and that's where I bought a lot of those things I just showed off. So after all is said and done, the end of the day, I came back to my stay and realized I only have 2 days left on the trip as a whole. Not that it really mattered much, because it was just around the corner, and the good news was that it was right next to the Sutenkaku Tower, and I got a really nice view of it. I really regret not getting the place for longer since it was much nicer than the last one that I was staying at. But it is what it is. Now then, before I checked into that stay itself, I left my stuff in the lobby, which was incredibly safe despite what I just said, and I went on a train to somewhere where I was at the very beginning. The place that I ended up staying the longest. Niagawa. I decided that I should visit Niagawa one last time for old time's sake. Walk that path one last time. Walk that path that was once full of cherry blossom trees, now that is full of pretty flowers and beautiful shade. I decided to visit that Aeon Mall one last time. After all, not only did I spend a lot of time at the mall, but one of my best memories from the trip as a whole came from that place. The mall was the first place that I went to in Japan, and in a stupid way, it was definitely special to me. After taking that final walk around Niagawa and visiting the mall one last time, it was now time for me to relax for the final 2 days of my time in Japan and recollect what was a very eventful month. Now, I did actually go into the Sutenkaku Tower. it was right next to it. How could I not? It's the last place that I went to, and what a way to go. And you know, there is something to be said here after being in not only the Sutenkaku Tower, but also the Ferris wheel next to the aquarium and the Yameta Sky Building, and that Osaka is really big. Super big, in fact. And you can look at the size of it on the map and be like, oh yeah, that's surely huge, alright. But let me tell you, as someone that has stepped foot in Osaka, walked around Osaka, seen it high above at 3 p.m. and at 8 p.m., it feels like it could genuinely take me years to explore every bit of that city. Osaka is huge, and trying to see it all just feels damn near impossible. I love the areas that I explored, and I'm very much happy with what I saw and did. And the Sutenkaku Tower really put all of this into perspective. Sure, I could see much of Osaka from high above, but it wasn't all of it. And the stuff I didn't see, maybe I could go and visit there soon and find it. Who knows? but the areas I did visit were very much worth it. It's stuff like this, days like that day, trips like this trip, where I remember that I don't just love Osaka or Japan, but as a whole, traveling. The tower was amazing. I got this really nice time lapse of a day to night transition of the tower. And speaking of that area, again, a lot of fun stuff to do. The shops were amazing and the restaurants good. And with that, I ate my final meal. A bunch of chicken, lamb, and sweet skewers from a place just next to the tower. Went back to the hotel, slept for the last time in Osaka. The next morning, packed my stuff, got on a train ride back to KIX, where I didn't take any videos of it, like I did coming in, because I just wanted to savor the moment for myself. I arrived at KIX and waited a long time before finally the flight to Taipei was ready. Flew to Taipei, sat for 8 more hours because layovers suck dick, and after all of that, I was finally on my way back home, leaving Japan after a very eventful and just all around perfect month. Nothing went wrong. Nothing went wrong at all. Yeah, so if there is any advice that I could give to somebody wanting to travel, not just to Japan, but obviously anywhere, please don't go alone, for the love of God. Don't do what I did. A lot of what I experienced was amazing and all, but there was a lot of moments where I just felt like the lack of experience in life contributed to a bunch of mistakes by me on this trip. The language barrier is one issue that will always be there, no matter how many people are with you. But having a second person next to you would probably make these awkward moments feel like the most hilarious thing in retrospect. So, early on, as a story, during my time in Niigata, I ordered Domino's because I wanted to try Japanese pizza. And the food was great, don't get me wrong, albeit very greasy. That's fine, but that's not the issue. The issue was that the restaurant was the first place ever, this was about a week into my stay, where they tried to call me when I ordered delivery. Now, I didn't call them for delivery, I ordered it online, obviously. But they called me, because most of the time, I would get a text if something was up or if the delivery person just wanted a quick chat during my time. And that was fine with me because, you know, Google Translate or DeepL, it exists for a reason. But when I get a call, and in the most Kansai accent possible, Japanese, I am immediately speechless and I'm panicked. So I was on the phone for a good 30 minutes and the question itself was, I'm not joking, what's your address? What's your address? Bringing this all back to bringing an extra body, it probably would have made that whole situation a lot funnier and better, but there's that. And also on the whole extra body with the kind of deal, I barely spoke verbally during the trip. It felt like a month-long rest for my throat, which may have been nice for me to some extent. I really wanted to speak and all that, though. I wanted to do that. It was hard to do it because I had no one to talk to for about 95% of the trip. The other 5% was me being in Discord with my mates in the morning before they went to sleep, but like I said, barely 5% of the trip. If you have another person with you, it makes everything feel bigger to you during the trip, and it makes the embarrassing moments less of that and more funny. Another issue that I had during the trip was my physical body not enjoying the fact that I was walking for miles and miles and miles a day for days in a row with very little breaks. When I was trying to get to my second stay in Nishinari, my left foot was completely sore. It didn't help that I actually twisted it going down some steps, so it made it really sore and painful to walk on. It also didn't help that I also did a bunch of bowling during that time too, and that also really hampered my performance during those games. Another thing, I did mention this earlier, I really do wish that I took more photos and videos of what I was doing during the trip. I knew I was making a video like this at some point. I even made a 20-minute video of me walking Dontonbori at night. So I knew I was going to be making a video at some point, and what did I do? I barely took any videos, took a lot of flower photos, and also my reaction to finding porn on the TV. I found it! This isn't really anything bad or ugly. I just didn't know where to put this in the script. But the weather as a whole was as good as it could be. It didn't really rain that hard at all. It did rain some days and it wasn't that bad. But it was really nice to get a few rainy days in there because there was like a 2-week period where like it barely rained at all. It wasn't as terrible as some of the storms that happened here in the States. Overall, I really enjoyed this trip. I want to travel more. I want to make another travel video here soon, which I will. So stay tuned for that. If you want to know more about what I did during my trip, please ask in the comments below. I'm not entirely sure how helpful I could be, especially since the trip happened over 3 years ago and my brain has forgotten a bit of the smaller details. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care and have a good one. Please.